Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
Today,
We're going to be talking all about Friday the 13th.
oh, spooky.
Dun, dun, dun.
Friday the 13th.
So we've got this really interesting article that we're going to be looking at from the Spiritan magazine website. It's called Pentec 13. Eredet. A fiest mascarica is a templo masok.
Wow, I can't believe we're using Hungarian sources now.
Oh, yeah, we're going international.
Okay, let's do it.
So we're going to kind of look at all the different origins of where this superstition came from.
Okay.
And really try and, I don't know, break it down a little bit and see what we can find.
And maybe see if it's actually real or
Yeah,
is it all in our heads?
Is it all just a bunch of hooey?
Right.
So one of the things that I've always, thought about Friday the 13th is that it comes from the Last Supper.
Oh, yeah, clutch.
Having 13 people at the table.
Right.
And then Judas betrays Jesus, and then, the next day he's crucified and all that.
So what does our source material actually say about that?
So it turns out that this connection that people make between Friday the 13th and the Last Supper is actually relatively new. It's only really started to appear in, the 19th century.
Oh, wow.
The very first time that Friday and 13 being unlucky was actually documented was way back in 1869.
Okay.
And it was in a biography about Gioacchino Rossini.
Rossini?
The composer.
Wait, the composer?
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
So Rossini, he considered Friday and the number 13 to be super bad luck.
Oh.
And as fate would have it, he actually died on Friday the 13th.
Oh, no.
Yeah, kind of creepy.
Oh, that's either just the biggest coincidence or it's he manifested his own death somehow.
Right, he willed it into existence by believing in it so hard.
Spooky.
It really makes you think.
So, okay, so if it's not the Last Supper,
right,
where does this fear of Friday the 13th actually come from?
So the event that's most closely connected to this whole Friday the 13th thing.
Okay.
Are you ready for this?
Uh-oh.
It's the arrest of the Knights Templar.
Oh.
Like the warrior monks.
Yeah, I remember learning a little bit about them back in high school.
Yeah.
I think they were the elite soldiers during the Crusades.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
They were the protectors of the pilgrims.
Okay.
Going to the Holy Land during the Crusades.
So they were but over time...
heroes.
Yeah, they were heroes, but over time they started getting a ton of wealth and power.
Oh, so they became a powerful force in Europe.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, so probably made a few enemies along the way, I'm guessing?
You could say that.
Okay.
And one of those enemies was King Philip V of France.
Okay.
Who was, massively in debt to the Templars.
Uh-oh.
So he saw a way to get out of debt, and he accused them of all this crazy stuff.
Like what?
Like heresy, blasphemy, all kinds of things to make them look bad.
And this is all just to get out of debt, pretty much.
Oh, that's messed up.
And on October 13th, 1307, King Philip I had hundreds of Templars arrested.
Oh, wow.
All in one night.
That's cold.
Yeah, it was a brutal power move.
Yeah.
So imagine that, you see this powerful order of knights just totally betrayed and destroyed.
Oh, yeah, I can only imagine how that would freak people out.
Right.
Seeing the heroes fall like that.
It's like something out of Game of Thrones.
Oh, totally.
So they were tortured. They were forced to confess to these made-up charges.
So he was basically just making stuff up.
Exactly.
Just to get their money.
He wanted their wealth.
Wow.
And he got it.
That's crazy.
And it gets even crazier.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the last Grand Master of the Templars, Jacques de Molay.
Okay.
He was burned at the stake in 1314.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And legend has it that as he was burning,
oh, gosh,
he cursed King Philip V and Pope Clement V.
Oh, he cursed them.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Oh, right.
So you can definitely see how that would add to the Friday the 13th superstition.
Totally.
Like a curse from a dying man.
It's straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah, and even today people talk about a lost Templar treasure.
Right.
And there are theories that the order never actually died out.
Exactly.
They just went underground.
Yeah, and that just adds to the mystique of the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
So it sounds like the fear of Friday the 13th might come from this one event.
It's possible.
From the Knights Templar.
Yeah.
But I was also surprised to learn that not all cultures see Friday the 13th as a bad thing.
Oh, that's right.
Like in ancient Egypt,
yeah,
they actually revered the number 13.
They did.
Yeah. They saw it as a symbol of life cycles and completion.
Interesting.
So instead of being afraid of it,
Yeah.
they celebrated it.
Huh. So it was like a good thing for them.
Yeah, it was a positive thing.
That's so different from how we see it.
I know, right?
It really shows you how much culture can impact our beliefs.
Absolutely. And even in some pagan and Wiccan traditions,
Okay.
Friday is associated with Venus, the goddess of love, and 13 represents feminine power.
Oh, wow. So Friday the 13th could actually be a day of, like, love and power.
Exactly.
That's a cool way to look at it.
Oh, no, right?
It's like a total flip of the script.
It really highlights how different cultures have such different views on the same thing. It's all about perspective, right?
Absolutely.
So it makes you wonder why some cultures gravitate towards those negative interpretations and others embrace those positive ones.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, what makes us so different in how we view the world?
And it also makes you wonder if maybe we're a little too quick to jump to those negative conclusions.
Yeah.
And we should be a little bit more open-minded.
I think that's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
Be open to different perspectives.
Absolutely.
You never know what you might learn.
Exactly. But before we, go too far down that rabbit hole,
Okay.
we have to talk about black cats.
Oh, yeah. Another classic symbol of bad luck.
Right. Like if a black cat crosses your path,
Right.
you're in for some serious trouble.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting how much our perceptions of black cats have changed over time?
Oh, totally. Like back in ancient Egypt,
Yeah.
they were revered.
They were like sacred animals.
Yeah, they were associated with Bastet, the goddess of protection.
Exactly.
So they were seen as good luck.
Yeah, can you imagine?
The complete opposite of how we see them today.
I know, right?
So when did that shift happen?
It seems like it was during the Middle Ages in Europe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened?
Well, during that time, black cats started to be demonized.
No.
They were linked to witchcraft and evil.
Oh, of course.
It probably didn't help that they're nocturnal.
Yeah, and they have black fur,
Right.
which can be kind of creepy in the dark.
I mean, I love black cats, but I can see how people might have been afraid of them back then.
Yeah.
So basically, fear and superstition turned these once sacred animals into symbols of bad luck.
So sad. It's like they went from heroes to villains.
Yeah, exactly.
And it led to some pretty terrible consequences.
Yeah, like black cats were often persecuted.
Yeah.
Along with accused witches.
Killed out of fear and ignorance.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. But thankfully,
Okay.
many cultures still see black cats as lucky.
Not good to hear.
Yeah, I hope we can all do our part to challenge those negative stereotypes.
Absolutely.
And appreciate the beauty of these amazing creatures.
They're awesome.
They really are.
So speaking of the number 13,
Okay.
our source material mentions this really interesting link between 13
Okay.
and ancient Babylonian mysteries.
Ooh, I love a good mystery.
Me too. So the Babylonians,
Yeah.
they were super advanced in astronomy,
Okay.
and they came up with this sophisticated lunar calendar.
Okay, and what's so special about that?
So their calendar had 12 months, right?
Okay.
Based on the cycles of the moon.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But here's the thing.
What's that?
A lunar year isn't exactly the same length as a solar year.
Right, because a solar year is based on the Earth going around the sun.
Exactly.
So there's a little bit of a difference.
Right. So to keep their calendar in sync with the seasons,
Okay.
they had to add an extra month sometimes.
Oh, so they would have 13 months some years.
Exactly.
Okay, so 13 wasn't their normal number of months. It was
Yeah.
just like a sometimes.
Yeah, just to keep things aligned.
Okay.
But because of this, the number 13 became a symbol of imbalance for them.
They can see that.
Like, it messed up their perfect system.
Right, because they had 12 main gods,
Right.
12 zodiac signs,
Yeah, exactly.
12 months in a typical year.
And then, boom, 13 comes along and throws everything off.
Throws off balance.
Yeah, like a cosmic wrench in the gears.
Interesting. So maybe that Babylonian dislike of the number 13 has something to do with our modern day superstitions.
It's possible, right?
Like it's been passed down through the ages.
It's amazing how these ancient ideas can still have an impact on us today.
I know, right?
It's like we're still connected to them somehow.
It makes you wonder what other ancient beliefs are influencing us.
Right.
Without us even realizing it.
It's a fascinating thought.
It really is. And speaking of ancient beliefs,
Yes.
we have to talk about Friday's connection to the Babylonian goddess Ishtar,
Oh, yes, Ishtar.
the goddess of love, war,
And Friday?
and Friday, what?
How does that work?
Okay, so it's all about Ishtar's association with the planet Venus,
Okay.
which is also linked to the Norse goddess Frigg,
Frigg, okay.
who Friday is named after.
Oh, I see.
So Ishtar was a complex deity.
Complex how?
Well, she was the goddess of love, war, fertility, and even death.
Wow, she was a busy goddess.
I know, right?
It's not like she had a lot on her plate.
Like she embodied both creation and destruction.
So a real force of nature.
Exactly, and she could be benevolent one moment
Yeah.
and vengeful the next.
Oh, wow.
So she was both revered and feared.
A powerful combination.
For sure. So how does this tie into Friday?
Okay, so there's this Babylonian myth about Ishtar descending into the underworld.
Okay.
And supposedly this happened on a Friday.
Oh. Okay.
And this journey, like, messed with the natural order of things.
So it brought misfortune.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Friday,
Yeah.
through Ishtar's journey,
Oh.
became associated with disruption and maybe even a little danger.
Exactly.
It's amazing how a day of the week
I know, right?
can have such a deep and complex history.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Yeah,
There's always more to discover.
it really is, and we've only just scratched the surface here.
Oh, yeah, there's so much more to explore.
I can't wait to see where this deep dive takes us next.
Me too. This is fascinating.
It really is. Wow, so listener, what do you think? Are you starting to see Friday the 13th a little differently now?
I mean, it really makes you think, doesn't it? Like, how these ancient stories and events have shaped our beliefs about this date. It's wild.
Yeah, totally. And, we talked about black cats earlier
Right.
and how they went from being sacred in ancient Egypt to symbols of bad luck.
Yeah, poor kitties.
I know, but does our source material actually say if black cats bring misfortune?
Well, it acknowledges that, there's that widespread superstition.
Okay.
But it basically says it's just that, a superstition.
So no need to freak out if a black cat crosses our path.
Nah, you'll be fine.
That's a relief, because I love black cats.
Me too. They're beautiful.
They're the best.
But, some cultures even believe that the direction a black cat crosses your path matters.
Really?
Like, if it crosses from right to left, it's bad luck. But if it's left to right, it's good luck.
Oh, so we're adding even more rules to this.
Right. It's like we're trying to control luck.
It's like a whole rule book for luck.
Exactly. Like, oh, I stepped on a crack, but it was my left foot, so it's okay.
Right, but isn't luck supposed to be, random?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
But I guess we just want to make sense of it,
I get it. Like, we want to feel like we have some control over the unknown.
Yeah, I guess that's just human nature.
Totally. So, at the end of the day,
Okay.
whether you think a black cat is lucky or unlucky is really just a personal belief.
It's all in your head.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that these superstitions can have real-world consequences.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like, black cats are often abandoned or even euthanized in shelters.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, because of these unfounded beliefs.
It's just because of a superstition.
It's really tragic.
Yeah, it is.
So, listener, if you're thinking about getting a pet,
Yeah?
maybe consider giving a black cat a loving home.
Oh, I love that.
You might just be surprised by the good luck they bring.
Okay, but stepping back a bit,
Okay.
I think this whole deep dive into Friday the 13th
Mm.
really shows us something about human nature, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
Like how we create these beliefs and how they can stick with us, even if they're based on really old events or myths.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we're all connected to the past in some way.
Yeah, it's fascinating how those stories from centuries ago can still have such a hold on us.
Right, and it also highlights how different cultures see the same things in totally different ways.
Oh, yeah, like how the number 13 was actually revered in ancient Egypt.
Right, what was bad luck for some was good luck for others.
It's all about perspective.
Absolutely, and that's a really important lesson, I think.
I agree.
We should be more open-minded and aware of different cultural beliefs.
Yeah, it's so easy to judge what we don't understand.
Right, but if we take the time to learn and listen, we might find that we have more in common than we thought.
Absolutely. And that's what this whole deep dive is all about, right?
Totally. It's about expanding our horizons and exploring different ways of seeing the world.
So, listener, what's been the most surprising thing for you so far?
What's really stuck with you?
Have any of your beliefs about Friday the 13th changed?
Because for me, I think the biggest takeaway is that even irrational beliefs can have a big impact on our lives.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like the persecution of the Knights Templar
Yeah.
and the demonization of black cats.
Those are prime examples.
They show us how fear and superstition can lead to real harm.
And it makes you wonder, what other superstitions are we holding on to?
Right. Like, what other beliefs are affecting our choices without us even realizing it?
It's a good question.
It is. And I think this deep dive can help us all be more mindful of our own biases.
Oh, yeah.
And approach the world with a bit more skepticism and open-mindedness. Well said. So, as we wrap up our exploration of Friday the 13th, what would you recommend our listeners explore further?
Well, I think diving deeper into the history of the Knights Templar would be fascinating.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like their rise and fall.
Yeah, the truth behind the accusations against them.
What really happened?
All those enduring myths that surround them.
Right, like the Holy Grail and secret societies.
Exactly. There's so much to uncover there.
And don't forget Babylonian mythology.
Oh, yeah. That's a rabbit hole you could get lost in.
Totally. Like Ishtar's journey to the underworld is just one of many incredible stories.
And they give us a glimpse into how different cultures have used life and death and the human condition.
It's amazing how one topic, like Friday the 13th,
I know, right?
can lead to so many other avenues of exploration.
So the never-ending journey.
It really is, and I hope this deep dive has sparked some curiosity in our listeners.
They do.
To keep questioning and learning and challenging their own assumptions about the world.
Exactly. That's what it's all about.
Because the world is full of fascinating stories and perspectives just waiting to be discovered.
You just have to be open to finding them.
Wow, what a journey this has been.
Right. I mean, Friday the 13th.
Really fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, listener, but I'm never going to look at this date the same way again.
Yeah, it really makes you think twice, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And, we've talked about Ishtar.
The Babylonian goddess.
Right.
Yeah.
But our source material also mentions a Norse goddess, Frigg.
Oh,
who's also connected to Friday.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about her.
So Frigg, she's a big deal in Norse mythology.
Okay.
She's all about love, marriage, motherhood, destiny.
So kind of similar to Ishtar.
I guess in some ways.
Like a multifaceted goddess, but
Yeah.
with a different focus, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Like where Ishtar is like this force of both creation and destruction.
Right, love and war.
Frigg is more about family and home,
Okay, the hearth, all that.
Yeah, like she's seen as a protector, a provider, strong, compassionate, all that.
So it's really interesting to see how these two goddesses, both linked to Friday, are seen so differently in their mythologies.
Yeah, it's like two sides of the same coin almost.
Right, and it shows us how different cultures have tried to understand the world.
Absolutely. And the power of these archetypes, right?
Yeah, these powerful figures
Yeah.
who embody different aspects of life.
And it reminds us that there's not just one way to see things.
Right.
There are so many different perspectives out there.
Absolutely, and I think that's something we should always keep in mind.
For sure.
So, okay, before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to the Knights Templar one last time.
Okay.
Because our source material hints at some pretty juicy mysteries.
Oh, yeah, like what really happened to them?
Exactly. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Okay, so as we talked about before, the Templars were accused of some serious stuff.
Heresy?
Yeah, idolatry, even some crazy rituals.
But a lot of historians think those charges were made up.
Yeah, like totally fabricated.
Just to get their money.
Exactly, like King Philip IV. He just wanted their wealth and power.
So it was all about politics, not actual wrongdoing.
Yeah, that's what many people believe.
Huh. That makes you wonder, right?
It does.
What if there's more to the story?
Right, and that's where all the conspiracy theories come in.
Okay, like what?
Well, some believe the Templars had secret knowledge.
Okay.
Or artifacts that, threatened the church or the monarchy.
Like the Holy Grail or
Holy Grail.
a map to some lost treasure.
Exactly, those are classic ones.
And some even say that the Templars never really disappeared.
Right, they just went underground.
Like a secret society.
Yeah, continuing their mission in secret.
Wow, that's some Da Vinci Code stuff right there.
Right, it's like a real-life mystery novel.
So no wonder the Templars are still so fascinating.
Yes, centuries later, and people are still obsessed.
This story just has that power.
And it feeds into our love of the unknown,
Absolutely, the unsolved mysteries that keep us guessing.
Exactly.
So, listener, as we wrap up this deep dive into Friday the 13th, I hope you're leaving with a new understanding of this date.
Yeah.
Maybe even a bit of a sense of wonder.
I hope so.
About all the history and myths.
And how they're all connected.
That have shaped its meaning.
It's a tangled web, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. But the most important thing, I think, is that there's always more to learn.
Right. This is just the beginning.
If you're intrigued by what we've talked about today, don't stop here.
Keep digging.
research the Knights Templar, explore Babylonian myths.
Learn about black cats from around the world.
The world is full of fascinating stories.
Yeah, and different ways of seeing things.
So keep asking questions.
Yeah, keep being curious.
And keep an open mind.
Absolutely. That's what makes life interesting.
And who knows, maybe the next time Friday the 13th rolls around, you'll see it not with fear, but with a sense of adventure.
Like, what will this Friday the 13th bring?
Exactly. Embrace the mystery.
That's the spirit.
That's the spirit of a true deep diver.
Until next time, folks.
Keep exploring.